Ladies and gentlemen, this is the perfect song to talk about Monster Hunter Rise. Are you ready? Shiro, are you ready?
Wait, I don't hear the music. Oh,
You
it's
don't
that
hear
one. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I just had to know what song it was. Okay.
So, look, guys. There's been some discuss. You need a date for the Steam Deck? It's just December 2021. That's all they said. December 2021. Oh, for more Rise? Okay, look. All right. I feel you. And in fact, that's going to be one of our topics. We are going to be talking about content, the current content, lack thereof, or what there is, what there isn't. We're going to get to that, what's coming and all that shit. But first off, there was a question. Not even, actually, it's a question that you asked me a long time ago, Danny. And I want to revisit it because there was a video I was watching earlier today that for the Switch date, for the Steam Switch date. I don't know. I don't know when we're getting any of that. I just know December 21st. But you know what would be great is if when the Steam Deck drops, we also get Monster Hunter Rise on PC. We can only hope and pray, right? But either way, is Monster Hunter Rise too easy? That's one of the main focuses I want to think about today. I want to talk about that today. Before we get into Monster Hunter Stories 2, before we get into anything else, I want to talk about, is Monster Hunter Rise too easy? Shiro, what do you think? While you do that, I need to fix that up real quick. But I'm listening.
What I think. Yeah. As it is now, just the low rank and the high rank, it is a bit too easy for me.
For you? Okay.
Yeah.
I respect
personally, it's too easy.
Okay. Do you
I can
have
go with
any...
a bit more challenge.
You could go with a bit more challenge. Is there any particular reason why you think the game is too easy for you? Same for you, Danny. You said kind of. So could y'all elaborate a little bit? First, let me get to Danny real quick since Danny beat you to the punch. Danny says, but I also think because we also came out of G rank. Okay. All right. So basically being a Monster Hunter veteran, having played Iceborne Master Rank as well as Monster Hunter GU, G rank, you're kind of just you're built. You're a built veteran. You're a veteran hunter. Okay, I got it. What about you, Shiro?
I can agree with that, with being a veteran hunter and all that stuff. But I also think that it has to do with some of the added mechanics that make it just easier to move around the monster and all that stuff. Also the balancing.
Wait, Danny says, I mean that we got the G rank expansion. Do you mean like we're expecting the G rank expansion? Because we haven't got a G rank expansion for Rise, have we? Like, I'm not sure I quite understand what you're saying there, Danny. I'm my mistake, man. Like, I don't quite, not quite following at the moment with that. But along the lines of something that you just said, you said the difficulty spike. Oh, I think I know what Danny is saying. He's talking about those advanced quests, right? Is that what you mean by G rank, the advanced quest? I mean, I didn't know if we would consider that like a G rank expansion.
G-rank.
Yeah,
it's not. It's not.
I mean, I'm just trying to figure out, make sure we're on the same page because I don't want to misunderstand what Danny's saying. So I'm basically throwing out whatever's coming to my mind to make sure it's reflecting his. Danny says, bruh.
Danny, just type out what you mean.
Danny's just probably a busy man.
Putting 3 words every so often is not helping.
Give the man a break. He's trying, all right? But something along the lines that you said, Shiro. Or not. Let's see what Danny just said. Because we got a G rank expansion, people were expecting the same level of difficulty. I'm not sure.
I think he means because you came from World,
Uh-huh.
who just got the G rank expansion,
Mm-hmm.
and you go into a new game, you expect the new game to be as difficult as the previous game in its entirety.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I follow. Okay, I get it now. If that's what Danny means, then yes, definitely agree with that notion. Coming from a more difficult game or a difficult experience prior to a new release of a new Monster Hunter, which basically starts over from scratch, definitely puts you, I would say, ahead of the curve in terms of expectancy and like efficiency in gameplay, just in general. But something that you said, Shiro, that I want to touch back on is I'm gonna talk about Monster Hunter Rise not only from a game play perspective, but also lore wise. And this is what I have to say about Monster Hunter Rise. First, I'm gonna address the gameplay. I think, in my opinion, Monster Hunter Rise is a better game than World. Why do I say that? Gameplay wise, the hunters have so much more tools in their kit that they are more, they have, well, because they have more tools in the kit, they have more solutions to any given scenario than any previous entry. They have more answers to any challenge they face. More player options, but this is also it also takes me back to what I was going to say, lore wise. The hunters in Rise, lore wise, are just the most capable hunters we've ever seen in a Monster Hunter period. Danny says, but we got less content. I'm gonna get to that. I will get to that. But yeah, I have something to say about that too. So, what do I mean by these are more capable hunters? All right, you have so many more damage avoidance tools, such as counters, guards, dodging, wirefall quick recovery. These are things you did not have in the previous games. All of those 4 things combined make for an experience unlike any of the previous games. But they also do one very significant thing. Very significant thing. Make your challenges more easy.
Mm-hmm. And this is where my statement about balancing comes in. Mm-hmm. They, because they added all this stuff, it becomes harder to balance exactly the difficulty of a game. The more mechanics you have, the more systems you have in a game, the harder it is to make them all on one line in difficulty.
See, here's my thing. I don't think it's that necessarily that complex, right? Yeah, sure, these are more capable monster hunters. They have the ability to do wire bug techniques. They also can do wyvern riding, which is significant. Mm-hmm. It is far more significant than I think people even give it credit. Danny says, Ree, you can't have opinions. I'm not saying people can't have opinions. I just want to discuss these opinions, right? Like, I'm not saying Monster Hunter isn't isn't easy or it isn't hard. What I'm saying is, let's think about this from a more objective standpoint. Actually look at what the game is giving us. Because if you look at the game itself, it is unlike any of the other Monster Hunters that came before. And the only one before that actually tried to do what Monster Hunter Rise is doing is World. But even World can be considered the predecessor to what eventually became Rise. It was the stepping stone. I think I said this before one time we were discussing the difficulty in Monster Hunter Rise. That World was the stepping stone to Rise. That everything that you experience in Rise took some kind of shape in world beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, there are even some more quality of life changes that came to the game. But I think one of the more significant ones, or there are two significant things that I think came with Rise that was also not present in some of the other Monster Hunter games, which was your ability to track the monster quicker. You can mount the Palamute, dash across the map, and the monsters appear on the map. Even if you don't know what monster it is, just go to the fucking question mark. Just go to the question mark.
Mm-hmm.
It is much easier to find and track monsters than previous Monster Hunter titles.
I agree.
But again, I don't think the core underlying aspects of Monster Hunter change. I think this is the issue. This is why I think Monster Hunter is easier. It's because while the hunters got a lot more tools in their kit to address the monsters didn't gain any tools to address the hunters. Because basically a lot of the monsters that we have are just still basically the same monsters.
Yeah.
They just now could get fucked up more easily.
Yeah. So one of the things that I heard, for example, was some people that I knew, they expected the monsters to be more aerial combats focused. Now that we have the wire box and all that stuff, that didn't actually happen in the game. Most of the time they're still on the ground. Some monsters can jump up and grab you, sure, but most of them are still the same kind of monsters as in older games that just stick to the ground and do wide sweep attacks, for example.
Yeah.
Only now you have the tool to dodge them more easily.
Exactly. Or mitigate damage or avoid it altogether. Danny says, I like the more difficult grind. I believe you're referring to the grind in Monster Hunter Rise, and yeah, there is definitely, I would say the grind in Monster Hunter Rise is definitely there. Oh, purple magma orb. My nemesis. My motherfucking nemesis. But I don't think this is my thing. I don't think the additions of more tools has actually diminished the value or the capability for interesting, challenging encounters like the previous Monster Hunters. And I say this because I honestly believe that in the current state of the game, yes, to us, to like me, to like Danny, to like you, Shiro, it's easy because we've been conditioned, by previous titles. We're conditioned Monster Hunter players. On the other hand, I was talking to Zero Yui actually before the stream. I asked her, I said, do you think Monster Hunter Rise is easy? And she was like, you mean solo player? Like doing the village quest? She was like, yeah, the village quests are easy. I was like, no. I mean, just like, because I know the village quests are easy. They're like, honestly, if anybody were to say, oh, Monster Hunter Rise is easy, but the only thing I ever played was the village quest, and I'd be like, yeah, of course they easy, because those are like fucking baby rank quests, all right? I just want to fucking throw that out there. Those shits are baby rank. Anyways. Yeah. Actually, that's another thing I want to address too. Your Palico and your Palamute do so much fucking damage to monsters in this game that if you get into a fight, and this is one of the issues I had with that video I sent you, Shiro. The man said, I shouldn't be able to beat Kushala Daora solo with Sword and Shield when I've never played Sword and Shield. But I was like, but you're also fighting Kushala Daora with two fucking buddies with you. and he was, and one of the things he said was that this is like my only gripe with that video was that he said, you know, he doesn't want to give himself more of a challenge by either using weaker gear or not using systems in the game in place in the game. It's like, yeah, but if you use those systems, what's one of the main things they're going to do? They're going to make the experience significantly easier. Then he says in multiplayer, yeah, so he was fighting Kushala Daora on offline with both buddies. So he was playing multiplayer offline with 2 buddies in his party. So like a Palamute and a Palico. Now, in any other situation, if you were like online, like actually in an online lobby, he only had 1 buddy with him, because I think if you're online, you can only bring 1 buddy with you if you do a solo.
Yeah, I think so.
I would have been like,
if there are people in the.
No, I don't even think there even has to be people in the lobby. I don't even think it's just if you're online, and you like if your lobby is online. Because if your lobby is offline, you'll still bring 2. But if your lobby is online, you'll only bring 1, if I'm not mistaken. If he were to be in the fight with Kushala Daora using a sword and shield and only had 1 buddy with him, then I'd be like, I would have been more inclined to hear, like, to actually be not very critical of what he was saying in that particular example he was giving. Not to diminish anything that the dude said in the video, but that was one of those moments. I was just like, but you didn't have any sort of disadvantage in that scenario. Like, if we were to put apples to apples, Monster Hunter World, Monster Hunter Rise. In Monster Hunter World, you only could bring your Palico with you. That's all you had. But even in World, your Palico didn't have... Like, even in Rise, your Palico has such a huge fucking toolkit comparative to World.
Mm-hmm.
Like...
Also has abilities now?
Yeah, they're so much more powerful in every aspect. So everything is more powerful in Rise. Again, leading me back to everything, like the hunters in Rise, down to their buddies, are just far more capable. In fact, lore-wise, these motherfuckers are trained. You can see it. You can literally watch them train. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You can literally watch them train. So
the kids can even fight, so...
Yeah, the kids can even fucking fight. Like, yo, let's be real. In Kimura Village, they are so fucking battle ready because they've had to deal with rampages damn near like frequent, like on a frequent level. They have to deal with they're just in a really shit spot, to be honest with you. I would hate to be a hunter in Kimura Village because I would feel like you'd never catch a damn break. There'd be no vacations. You know what I mean? But it also...
And if you go on a vacation and you come back, the whole city, whole town is just gone.
Exactly.
Like, where's this town?
That shit got wiped out by fucking Ibushi and Narwa. Yeah, man. But this isn't to say that Monster Hunter Rise doesn't have challenges. It isn't to say that there won't be challenges in Monster Hunter Rise either. But to the core of the issue, Monster Hunter Rise is still in its infancy. Rise is still in its infancy comparative to the other Monster Hunter games, which are literally, they are fully updated. You could go play any other Monster Hunter right now, have put thousands of hours into it and be fucking content. Potentially. But with Rise, they're still working on their update cycles. Like hell, it took World a year. I think it was a year, like 2 years before we got Iceborne. So like even...
It was just 1 year.
I think it was 1 year. Because I think
at least for the
Because
PlayStation.
PC had not PC, excuse me. PlayStation, I believe, had World for a year, right, before PC got it. And I thought it was a year afterwards they got Iceborne.
We can look this up.
Yeah, we could look at it.
We have computers for a reason.
We have computers. We have the technology. We can find the answers. While you do that. So again, yeah, there is a lack of content for that very reason.
January 2018 for Base Worlds.
Mm-hmm. And that was on PC or PlayStation?
Good question. Let me be more specific in my search.
All right, no problem. But also at the same time, as much as I want to say it shouldn't be the case, because I literally ragged on Phantasy Star Online 2 for this, didn't I? Like, y'all are aware how much criticism I gave Phantasy Star Online 2 for being incomplete at launch. But honestly, they're not really comparable. Like, Monster Hunter Rise compared to Phantasy Star Online 2, Phantasy Star Online 2 looks like a demo, and Monster Hunter Rise looks like a fucking complete game if I were to compare them two. They're
So
really not.
it is January 2018 for Base World, PlayStation 4.
Okay. And what about Iceborne?
September 2019.
Oh, so actually that's about 2 years. Wait, hold on. Wait, you said January 2018 for
and then
Base
September 2019. So
it's about a year and a
year.
half. Yeah, year and a half. Yeah. That's not bad. So basically, if we go off of a similar life cycle, right? Switch got Rise. If PC gets Rise this coming January, because it would have been a year. 6 months later, 6 to 7 months. No, it's about 8 months, right? Yeah, about 8 to 9 months. We should be able to expect the ultimate expansion if Rise follows the same release cycle as World.
And then PlayStation got it in January 2020.
Oh, wait, really? So they actually got it. PlayStation got Iceborne months later. That's crazy.
No, PlayStation got Iceborne earlier.
Oh, you mean PC got Iceborne
PC.
later?
Yeah,
Oh,
PC
sorry,
got Iceborne in January 2020.
Okay, my bad. I misheard you. So yeah, I'm just
PC and yes, same thing.
like I said. Like, you look at the two games, and it's like the main reason. This takes me back to the very first thing I said. Monster Hunter Rise is easier because honestly, it is just a better game than the previous entries. And I say that because it has so many new and detailed systems that give the player an advantage over their adversaries in the game.
Also, I think if they gave Rise a different texture, like they didn't even give it the monsters of Monster Hunter, a whole different game, nobody would have batted an eye on its difficulty at all.
You're right. It
is because it's called a Monster Hunter game that people are gonna compare it.
Yeah, and that's why I'm just like, technically, I'm gonna say it again. Going from World to Rise, the monsters didn't change. The hunters did. That's the biggest, most significant thing. And also, my biggest issue is with people who keep saying that Monster Hunter Rise is too easy. Stop thinking about yourself. Think about other people. What is one of the main reasons Monster Hunter just struggled as a franchise is because a lot of people just thought it was too difficult to get into. Now look, we're gamers here. So we don't struggle. But other
Uh.
people, this man Danny said get good like it's Dark Souls. go ahead, Shiro.
So I'm fine with making the game easier for people to get into it. Like that's what they want for the franchise, right? More people that buy the game, and so they can keep making the other games.
Mm.
I do think that they need to adjust the difficulty curve, however.
And what makes you like? So what aspect? When you say the difficulty curve, do you mean just how the difficulty ramps up towards the end? Is it like too shallow of a ramp, or is it too? But it needs
I
to be a
think
bit more steeper. Is that what you think? Not steeper, but
yeah,
yeah,
I
more
think
steeper.
the curve right now is too straight. Like the difficulty at the start of the game is almost the same as at the end of the game, because of the armors you get, and you get better as well, right?
Yeah.
As a player, so the difficulty curve will be almost straight. Like there are some monsters in there that are like a big challenge the first time you fight them or the second time, but they won't be that big of a difficulty. I think if that the way to keep attention in a game is that the reward for beating a monster, the reward you feel for beating it because it was that difficult, gets harder to achieve the further you go into a game.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
So okay, so it should be the further you get into the game, the more difficult it should be to achieve the same level of reward as earlier in the game. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Because right now it's basically the same no matter how far you go into the game.
Well, I
Like,
don't think that's
most
necessarily true.
Well,
I mean,
okay, let's have some
To a
examples.
point, I would say to a point, right? Like,
Yeah.
it is basically the
So-
same to a point.
So let's go, for example, I'm just blanking on monsters. Give me an early game monster as an example.
Fucking, what is his name? Ibushi, not Ibushi. Izuchi.
early game.
I say Izuchi, man. Izuchi. I mean, their names are so similar,
Yeah.
man. Their names are so similar. Danny says Puke
okay.
Puke.
Okay, let's take Puke for example. Puke takes like 50 minutes to beat him, right?
Yeah.
I'm not precise on it.
Just an estimate, rough estimate. Gotcha.
Yeah. So 50 minutes to beat it. You'll use like 4 potions against him and 3 antidotes to beat him, right?
Mhm.
When you go against Ibushi, for example, you get the mega potions at the start of the level already, at the start of the hunt.
Yeah.
Because of how it's set up, right?
Mhm.
Also takes like 15 minutes to get to him and beat him in the
Rampage.
in the rampage, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you get stronger items when you fight him or when you do his quest, you will maybe not even touch your potions that you brought yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So you beat him like Puke Puke within 15 minutes. Puke Puke took some of your items. Ibushi didn't. So in that sense, you could say Ibushi is at that level even easier than Puke. And then you also and then also the rewards for what you get. You can make Puke armor with his rewards. You can make Ibushi armor with his rewards. At the level that you are at that moment, they will probably be the same strength of armor for what you need for the next monster. So
I feel
the
you.
difficulty curve is like basically the same for them. Now, if we gonna compare Puke with All Mother Narwa, that's where the spike goes up a little bit, right? Because All Mother Narwa can wipe a whole team of 4 if you're unlucky.
Yeah. So Danny says we need filters. Can you elaborate, or do you know what he's talking about, Shiro?
Filters?
Yeah,
I don't know exactly what he means.
Yeah, if you don't mind elaborating, Danny, that'd be appreciated, good sir. I see what you're saying, but that takes me back to something I said when we got the very first Apex fight, right? I said, this is great, but I wish we could just fight it as a regular quest. You see what I'm saying? Danny says, the dude who got killed by Kuze. I think that's a Yakuza reference, right? I know who Kuze is. I think. Wait, what is it talking about? It's in that it's like it's the start. You talking about the start of Yakuza 0? When the guy that Kuze used to frame Kiryu, I believe. Oh, Kizu. All right, never mind. All right, we're talking about something completely different then. My mistake. I thought, dude, that one typo had fucking sent me off on a completely different path. All right, he said, sorry, Kizu. A dude who got killed by Kizu. Kizu is.
If he's talking about the monster Kizu,
he's on
walking
Kizu.
dick.
Oh yeah, that thing. Oh my god. Yeah, go ahead, carry on.
We need filters because it's a dick. I don't know what he means with it.
Okay. We don't get the joke, Daddy. We don't understand, good sir. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm too stupid, bro. I don't get it. I don't know. But yeah, man. Yeah. Honestly, you know what I think the biggest issue is with Rise? And I feel like the reason why a lot of people believe there's a lack of in-game content is partially due to the fact that there was a lot of in-game content in Iceborne, and there isn't really anything to do in Rise. But
yeah,
I also believe. Go ahead.
Because of the tempered monsters, right?
Yeah, tempereds and et cetera, and investigations, and stuff like that. But also at the same time, I believe the reason why it feels like there is a lack of content in Rise. Now, this is going to be a different. This is probably going to be unlike any other take y'all have ever heard. Danny says he disagrees. Please elaborate, good sir. There's going to be a different take from anything I've ever heard. But I believe that a lot of people say that Rise has a lack of content is because their ability to clear it quickly because of how easy it is. So I think there is a same level of content as maybe base world, but it's so easy to clear it that you just breeze right through it. And that was one of my biggest issues with Rise. Is it was so quick. The game is so much faster than any other Monster Hunter I've ever played. It's such a fast Monster Hunter game. Danny says Monster Hunter 2 Monster Hunter 2 S? Or you mean Monster Hunter S2?
I think he means stories.
Yeah, has a better roadmap. We didn't even have a ending in the beginning. I mean, yeah, okay. I mean, you have a valid point. You do have a valid point, Danny. You're right. I think my misconception is looking at it from the state that Rise is currently in is why I feel like there is at least some content there in its current state. But at launch, I definitely see what you're saying. Definitely, I would definitely agree. There was really nothing in content at launch.
I
Danny
think
says how much
also
content
that
was cut. Wait, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. I'm thinking about what Danny said.
I think what's holding Rise back as well on release was that so much content was missing that got integrated in the updates in the roadmap, which were supposed to be actually in there as well. Because if that didn't happen, if we got Rise right out of the get-go as it is now, we could have had different monsters for the updates, and then maybe people wouldn't have paid so much attention on the content that it started off with being lackluster.
Okay, I can agree with that. Danny says, I think we would have gotten a big roadmap if they didn't cut the cut content. Yeah, I mean, you know what? Reason why I feel like Danny says, I don't agree with the community on the content of Rise. Music is a bit loud. Roger, let me lower this down a little bit. I appreciate you. Appreciate you getting me in check with my music, bro. Appreciate it. Thank you, good sir. Real talk, I think first off, I don't know what you mean by you don't agree with the community on the content of Rise. I do think that the content is lacking. At least, I mean, I've always thought it was lacking, but I didn't think it was lacking to the extent that probably some other people might have. But after further discussion with you all, I kind of can see it a little bit differently now, and I feel like I can agree with the assessment of at least what y'all here have had to say about it.
Also, another thing that I think also kept Rise from shining is that there's almost no story in the game, and half of that story is in the multiplayer area.
You know what? You're right. Go ahead, but carry on.
Yeah, and if something is in a multiplayer area, then people will also not immediately think that it belongs in the actual story of a game.
Mm-hmm.
But if we what the single player brought to Rise, it was nothing basically in story. So people that are like, oh yeah, it's fun single player, I will check the multiplayer later. What the hell? Where's the story? They will, they will also be like, well, there's a lot of content lacking. So, yeah.
Actually, bring up a good point. You bring up a good point. I wanna get to that. I'm gonna come back to that, but I'm gonna adjust what Danny says. Danny says because we got the cut content for free, like Gaija Hunter. I don't know too much about what you mean in reference to Gaija Hunter. And you say, yeah, you kill the cat, then that's it. Yeah, exactly. So basically, with the story of Monster Hunter, if I had one gripe with every Monster Hunter game, if I had one fucking gripe with every Monster Hunter game, well, actually, I don't know about every. I would just say starting from World then, so that's probably not every. But World and Rise, I hate that they basically keep content level gated from you. Not content, but story. It's basically level gated. You got to be a certain hunter rank to get this part of the story. And then they don't even fucking tell you it's there. You literally, and this isn't in every case, in like the more core story parts, they do. But in like, for example, World, right? If you want to do something like Fatalis or like fucking, maybe not Fatalis, but there is some stuff. It's like there's story there, but you don't know it's there if you don't ever hit that hunter rank. And Danny says, I actually like that. And I'm not saying it's bad, but here's the reason why I don't think it's necessarily a good thing either. Is because of what Shiro said. Those people who just play for the story, they complete the story and they go, oh, is that it? Is that all there is? Okay, I guess I beat the game. And then they don't play it again. Because the people who don't have any incentive to really level up their hunter rank unless they're just absolutely fans of the franchise, like, are fans of that game. Maybe they just really like that game. But unless they are one of those people, they don't really have an incentive to do that grind, to go about that grind. Now they might stumble upon it on accident just by, trying to reach a previous or a different goal. But the fact that there is no indicator of certain story elements that are potentially deeper in the game, I think hinders Monster Hunter. Because there was a lot of that. Well, go ahead.
One of the things that I think they could have done to make sure that people knew that there was still a story was to tell the player, like, hey, there's this monster that's terrorizing, but because you're a low hunter rank right now, we can't actually let you go hunt it because you would get killed. So try and prove yourself first by getting that hunter rank. Something like that, for example. Then people would know, okay, the story isn't over yet.
Danny says, For You had a good story. Are you trying to get me to play For You? Is that what this is? Is that what you saying that to me? 3 as well? This man trying to get me to play the old games. He just want to see me get clapped. That's what it is. I think Danny got something. Like, he just wanna see me get my ass handed to me because I'm like, story. I'm gonna play this game for the story. It's like, who the fuck plays Monster Hunter games for the story? Yogoe does.
We have Monster Hunter stories for that, right?
Exactly. And again, that's why I believe I said that when we first were talking about on my day one stream. I said Monster Hunter stories exist because Monster Hunter is not as easy as we think it is. See, all the people who are saying the game is easy are people who've probably fucking played Monster Hunter games, who are familiar with Monster Hunter games, who probably don't mind playing games like Dark Souls and fucking dying and trying over and over and over again. We are those kinds of people. But those people, that quiet few who don't think the game is easy, who actually think the game is challenging, despite all of the accessibility options, the quality of life options, and the toolkit that the new Monster Hunters have, and all that shit. Despite all of that, the reason why Stories 2 exist is for those people, that silent majority who just can't get into Monster Hunter. Whether that be because it's too hard or they're just not into the format of the mainline Monster Hunter games. Monster Hunter Stories is, I think, bigger than we give it credit. I mean, why did they make a second one if it wasn't?
Because the first one was a phone game.
Actually, no. It was also a 3DS game. That's all.
I know. But it has gotcha, right? So.
Oh, true. I was like, gotcha. But yeah. But in essence, at the core of it, is because people want to play Monster Hunter. They just either can't play Monster Hunter or don't want to play the same Monster Hunter that we play, but still want the experience of a Monster Hunter. So for us gamers, Monster Hunter Rise is easy. But I don't think that means it's not a hard game. Tanny says that's deep. I appreciate it.
I do remember when Zero Yui tried to join us in some quests, and that didn't go so well.
Yeah. And it's, like I said, that's been one of my biggest issues with content creators is I'm not saying that we shouldn't, as content creators, I don't think we shouldn't think about ourselves, but when we give our opinions, we should also take into consideration people that aren't us. You know what I mean? So that's why I kind of wanted to have this discussion before getting into stories too. So yeah.
We've been talking for a whole hour.
Yeah, I wanted to at least spend an hour on this discussion because I knew I had a lot to say on it, because it very much reminds me of my position or my stance I took on Phantasy Star Online 2, and where I was just, it all boiled down to content creators. We keep talking about me, but in reality, it's like, no, it's everybody, right? It's everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's why I wanted to have this conversation.
Yeah, so to anybody listening, game developers don't specifically make games just for you. They make it for a greater whole. Okay?
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure.